Sirens blare across empty city streets. What's behind Taiwan's biggest urban resilience drill yet? And how prepared is Taipei for an invasion? TSMC posts another quarter of record-breaking profits despite concerns over exchange rates and U.S. tariffs. Taiwan's fishing industry is in hot water. NGOs demand reform after a CNN expose alleged abuse of migrant workers. Plus,
很重要的就是入境的这一个许可，必须由中央来发给。因为到目前为止，我们都没有收到这一个入境的许可。
Taiwan scraps a cross-strait swim with China, citing security risks as tensions between the two sides deepen. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Liao. Thursday marks day 9 of Taiwan's biggest annual war games, and the capital is preparing the public for a wartime emergency. People had to clear the streets of Taipei for half an hour on Thursday afternoon, part of efforts to teach the public how to respond to emergencies. Our reporter Sandy Chi explains.
As the sirens go off, the streets of Taipei empty. This is part of Taiwan's urban resilience drills, held across the nation over the last few days. Military analysts say this kind of preparation is crucial for the country.
Many of the resilience drills are being done across Taiwan, not only serve as a way of preparing for a potential conflict with China or any kind of related contingency, but also just basic sort of earthquake, typhoon, other sort of natural disasters that Taiwan sort of faces.
Taiwan's ramping up its emergency preparedness efforts this year, combining the One-An Air Raid drill and the Migrant disaster prevention drill for the first time. And more importantly, the country has taken the exercises to the next level.
希望演练能够全民参与，国家团结。今年是第一次，我们将1年1度国军最重要的演习，也就是汉光演习，跟新合并的城镇韧性演习同时举行。
The drills this year include air raid warning broadcasts, evacuation and sheltering procedures, traffic controls, first aid training, and other emergency response measures.
第一次没有脚本的演练，验证这将近8个月的准备成果，就是真正把演习视同作战。
Authorities also practiced how to distribute essential goods like rice, oil, salt, and milk powder, just like they'd have to do in a real emergency.
During the distribution practice, the government also last-minutely initiated another evacuation, telling people to take shelter, and everything really went smoothly. All the civilians went into shelter within just a few minutes here.
Taipei residents say these drills went smoothly and highlighted how important they are.
觉得他做得很好啊，我们就按照他配置流程，不会很乱呐。
I think it's pretty well since because we have to practice to avoid the real war happen, and I think it's a very good practice for all of the people here to be safe.
Though these drills happen only once a year, the central government hopes to further boost local government's emergency response capabilities and, more importantly, make sure the public knows what to do in an emergency. Devon Tsai, Lian Lian, Fu Huahong, and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
With Taiwan nearing the end of its annual military exercises, troops are simulating a war of attrition, using public areas to practice fighting back against an enemy that has already captured part of the country. Our defense reporter Jaime Okan reports.
Taiwan's military is practicing what it would do if it lost its airfields and its military bases, using these public parks in New Taipei to rearm and refuel its helicopters in the event of a conflict. In less than 40 minutes, the Army is landing 4 military helicopters, simulating a wartime scenario of an enemy that has already made it inland, leaving their engines on and racing to resupply as quickly as possible. That includes a full tank of fuel, new missiles, and checking to make sure everything is working properly. This specific spot on the bank of the Danshui River runs through Taipei and New Taipei City, a strategic area for the military.
而且从这个地点出发，那陆航在比如说在从河道进入的时候，它其实可以获得相当的隐蔽跟遮蔽，增加它这个行动的这个隐秘性。然后飞出去攻击的时候，也可以沿着河道延缓被共军发现的几率。
These drills are part of Day 9 of the annual Hangguang military exercises, which simulate how Taiwan would respond to an invasion from China. This year, the drills are larger and more public and longer than ever before, trying to prepare the military for whatever situation might arise. With just 2 days to go until Hangguang finishes, the military is making sure that all aspects of its defense strategy are tested. And whether that's in the land, air, or sea, the whole point is to create an effective defense against China. Eason Chen and Jaime Ocon in New Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
For more on the Hangguang exercises and how these drills improve soldiers' decision-making and preparedness, Alec McDonald spoke with Tony Hu, the former senior director for China, Taiwan, and Mongolia at the United States Department of Defense.
Do you think Taiwanese soldiers have the ability to be autonomous in decision-making? So let's say there is a lieutenant or a captain lost. Do they have that autonomy and resilience to be able to make quick decisions in the heat of battle?
I think this is an area where Taiwan needs to improve, is provide the tactical guys their tactical objective, and the operational guys, operational, and strategic guys, strategic objective, so that within that objective, they have freedom of action, freedom of decision. This is an area where I think it's more related to culture, where people feels if I can pass the responsibility up the chain, what should I do? If we did bad, it's your fault because you told me to do this. Where in the U.S. we push the decision level to the lowest level possible. When you're a lieutenant or captain, you're told this is the objective. How you achieve that objective is up to you, because we have given you the training, the deployment of forces, how to combine your ability to achieve that objective, same at operational strategic level, so that the colonel, the general all know what is it I want you guys to do. The bigger picture is this, but you need to do this. Now Taiwan needs to improve on that.
This is a similar question, is Taiwan's military has no actual combat experience. Now the PLA doesn't have actual combat experience either, right. But how in the Hangguang exercises, how do you reach that level so that soldiers react with muscle memory when it comes to actual combat?
This is a great question, and it's happening now. You've seen news all the time that U.S. forces are on Taiwan, training Taiwan, okay? And these are the ones that deployed here are the ones with combat experience. They're passing on U.S. combat experience to Taiwan soldiers. And also you've seen at the battalion level, Taiwan has deployed Taiwan Army to the U.S. for unit level training. 10 years ago, they deployed 3-4 guys to learn and come back, try to teach the entire unit. No, you got to train as a combat unit. Okay, that's happening. And there is a F-16 squadron, Taiwan F-16 squadron in the United States for F-16 training. And every U.S. instructor pilot in that squadron has combat time. And I just visited them just over a year ago. And so these are the things that United States do to pass on combat experience, because combat experience is hard to come by.
That was Tony Hu, former senior director for China, Taiwan, and Mongolia at the United States Department of Defense. You can watch the full interview from Zoom In, Zoom Out on TaiwanPlus.com or YouTube. Taiwan is continuing to see a surge in Chinese military activity around the island after an uptick on Tuesday. The Defense Ministry reported detecting 58 Chinese military planes operating near the country in the 24 hours up to Thursday morning. 45 of those aircraft entered Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. This area isn't Taiwan's airspace, but acts as a buffer zone for defensive purposes. 9 Chinese naval vessels and 1 official ship were also detected. Hackers linked to China are targeting Taiwan's semiconductor industry, according to Reuters. The report cites research from a cybersecurity firm showing that up to 20 organizations were targeted in a series of cyber espionage campaigns between March and June. Victims include semiconductor design, manufacturing, and supply chain firms, as well as financial analysts at Asian firms and at one U.S. headquartered investment bank. The world's leading chip maker, Taiwan's TSMC, is riding high on the AI wave, reporting record second quarter profits. That's despite investor concerns over U.S. tariffs and the appreciation of the new Taiwan dollar. Chris Gordon was at the company's Taipei earnings conference and brings us this report.
Record high profits once again as Taiwan chip giant TSMC reports profits of $13.5 billion, a 60% jump over the same quarter last year and a record high for the company. That should be good news for investors worried about the impact of potential U.S. tariffs and the rapid appreciation of Taiwan's currency against the U.S. dollar. CEO and Chair C.C. Wei acknowledged that those factors, especially the exchange rate, have affected the company. And that has made the company's outlook for 2025 more conservative, with a prediction of 30% revenue growth for the full year.
We take into the consideration of the possible impact of tariff and a lot of other uncertainties. But I guarantee you, with our technology leadership position and excellent manufacturing, if there are any opportunities, we will catch.
Executives also addressed the recent announcement from TSMC customer NVIDIA that the U.S. may lift export controls and allow sales of its H20 AI chip in China.
We did not receive the signal yet, so it's too early to give you an estimate. But certainly, it is a good news, right? I mean, that's China is a big market, and my customer can still continue to supply the chip to the big market. And it's a very positive news for them. And in return, it's a very positive news to TSMC.
So despite some uncertainties in the global economy, strong demand for AI is propping up the company responsible for 90% of the world's most advanced chips. And they're expecting robust, if slightly slowed, growth. Scott Huang and Chris Gorin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
South Korea's highest court has upheld a not guilty verdict for Samsung Electronics chair J.Y. Lee in a long-running legal case. Lee was tried for stock manipulation and accounting fraud related to a merger of Samsung affiliates in 2015. He was found not guilty by 2 lower court rulings. South Korea's business community has welcomed the Supreme Court's verdict. A leading industry group said it will help the country's economy at a time of trade tensions with the U.S. South Korea was hit with 25% tariffs earlier this month. Coming up after the break, Taiwan's recall wars continue as lawmakers back petitions to oust key rivals or take to TV to defend themselves in a deepening political divide.
This month's top hits on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome to a show where we embrace the fusion food culture of Taiwan.
Join our guests at the table as they share stories and flavors from their cross-cultural journeys.
I'll try, and then,
Meet the remarkable entrepreneurs with Taiwanese heritage who are transforming global industries.
I was doing an ultrasound fingerprint sensor.
Battery manufacturing intelligence company.
The most complete protein among the plant-based protein.
You know the Eiffel Tower in Paris, but did you know its legacy lies hidden in Taiwan?
Alors j'étais pas du tout au courant qu'il y avait des ponts Eiffel à Taïwan.
里面就是包含了一个很完整的大时代的故事。
A shipwreck sparked a historic clash. Discover the forgotten story of a complex power struggle in 19th century Formosa. vibrant and original programs exclusively on TaiwanPlus.
And welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te is planning to make stopovers in the U.S. during his August trip to visit allies in Central and South America. According to Bloomberg News, Lai plans to stop in New York on August 4th and Dallas, Texas on August 14th to bookend his tour of Paraguay, Guatemala, and Belize. If confirmed, it would be his first time on the U.S. mainland since taking office. China's Taiwan Affairs Office has criticized the trip and urged the Latin American countries to handle Taiwan-related matters cautiously. Experts say the U.S. is unlikely to send senior officials to greet Lai as the visit comes ahead of a possible U.S.-China summit. Ruling party lawmakers have joined civic groups to campaign for an upcoming mass recall vote against their opposition counterparts. Meanwhile, the opposition took to the airwaves to defend its positions on television. Each side is pleading their case to the voters who will ultimately decide their fate.
Great recall, big success. Great recall, big success. Great recall, big success.
Lawmakers from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party stand alongside civic campaigners, backing their efforts to recall 24 opposition Kuomintang legislators. Recall campaigners say the KMT is working on behalf of the Chinese government to infiltrate the country.
I believe that a great recall sent an important message to the global society because we believe Taiwan is an independent country and we don't want the Chinese agent in our Congress. So we would like to, July 26, everybody can stand out and agree the recall and make our Taiwan great again.
The DPP holds the presidency but has a minority in Taiwan's legislature. The KMT, together with the smaller Taiwan People's Party, has blocked or derailed DPP legislation. Disagreements over everything from the country's budget to government restructuring has caused a good deal of bad blood. Veteran DPP lawmakers say the people are fed up with the opposition holding the majority.
透过大罢免运动 我们要证明民主它的效能，而不是因为这些毁宪乱政、迫害国家的总预算，然后让人民对民主失去信心。一旦人民对民主失去信心，特别在亚洲，这是一个非常危险的事情。
On Wednesday, several of the lawmakers whose seats are at stake had a chance to make their case on TV. KMT caucus whip Fu Kunqi, who represents Hualien County in eastern Taiwan, is one of the more senior lawmakers facing a recall. He says recalling him would be a step in the wrong direction for his constituents. And he says it would be a step toward letting the DPP consolidate absolute power.
这是对全国国人的罢免。 更是对花莲乡亲世世代代几百年来争取的交通建设跟地方繁荣发展的罢免。我们千千万万不能让台湾成为一个军事独裁戒严的政府。
On one side, DPP lawmakers stand with the mass recall campaigners, saying the movement is a means toward a more effective government, free from external infiltration. On the other, the KMT is digging in its heels, saying that they're the ones defending democracy. But in a democracy, the people decide, and Taiwan's voters will decide who has the more compelling argument at the ballot box next weekend. Klein Wong and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus. A storm is raging over the rights of migrant workers in Taiwan's fishing fleet. That's after an exposé from CNN alleged inhumane conditions at sea. A group of NGOs is now pushing the Labor Ministry to act. John Van Trieste reports.
Taiwan has the world's second largest deep-sea fishing fleet. There's a good chance the seafood in your local supermarket was trawled by a Taiwan-flagged ship. But there are growing concerns about conditions on board for the largely Southeast Asian crews. The story of Indonesian fishing worker Silwanus Tangkota, detailed in a CNN report, has caused a stir in Taiwan and led NGOs to gather outside the Labor Ministry. A human rights activist among them recounts what allegedly happened far out in the Pacific.
他因为一个意外，他的中指跟无名指被压伤之后呢，没办法获得立即的这一个救助。那该船的船长没办法让他立刻获得救助的理由，是因为这艘船的渔获还没有够所以要继续作业。所以导致这个个案呢，他必须要忍着严重的这个痛楚呢，甚至拿这个牙签来刮他的骨头，让他就是说可以避免感染。
The article also alleges a pattern of wage theft, abuse, and counts at least one preventable death. Critics of the article say it focused on a few cherry-picked cases. But activists say systemic failures and a lack of awareness among fishers themselves means, in their words, that this is just the tip of an iceberg.
及沿近海的渔工，他对于台湾的脉络更不熟悉，对于台湾的法令更不熟悉，对于 NGO 以及各项可以申诉管道也更不熟悉。因此，台湾的任何民间团体要收到来自远洋渔工的申诉，其实是更为不容易的。渔工要人权。 渔工要人权，政府别睡觉，政府别睡觉。
These NGOs have 5 demands. Foreign workers in Taiwan's fishing fleet must have the same legal protections as domestic workers. Wi-Fi must be mandatory, so crew can call for help. Inspections at sea are needed to check on the crew. And there's a government push for corporate due diligence and regular labor ministry meetings with activists to promote workers' rights. They put these demands into a symbolic gift package for the Labor Ministry to open and consider. A ministry rep accepts the package and has this to say.
这个我们还是会持续透过跨部会的合作，去检讨改善，去找到一个最好的做法，然后持续去保障以及回应这些相关的诉求。
In response to TaiwanPlus, the fisheries agency said it has a, quote, zero-tolerance policy for labor exploitation. It added that a human rights action plan for fishers has been in place since 2022, and that it's addressing issues like withheld pay and promoting Wi-Fi access on board. But activists say problems persist in practice. Taiwan's fishing industry has appeared several times on the U.S. Labor Department's list of goods produced with forced labor. And just days ago, the EU sent delegates to call for Taiwan to put Wi-Fi on ships and sign agreements on workers' rights with countries like Indonesia and the Philippines, the home countries for most of the 20,000 crew members. Concerns about migrant fishery workers' rights go back years. NGOs hope the latest controversy will bring a push for real change. Hank Xu and John Van Trieste in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Dozens of Taiwanese nationals have reportedly been arrested by Cambodian police in a telecom fraud crackdown. 75 Taiwanese were arrested alongside hundreds of Vietnamese and Indonesians. In May, Cambodian and Thai authorities released 55 Taiwanese arrested in a series of fraud crackdowns after 180 others were deported to China in April at Beijing's request, despite protests from Taipei. The Foreign Ministry here in Taipei has not responded to a request for comment on this latest case. Taiwan has called off a cross-strait swimming event following concerns that it could threaten the country's maritime security. Cadence Quaranta has more.
An annual swimming competition between Taiwan's outlying Kinmen Islands and China's coastal city of Xiamen has been canceled this year after Chinese swimmers were not issued the entry permits they needed to be able to swim into Taiwan's waters. This year's competition was hosted by the Xiamen government and would have started there, with swimmers crossing into Kinmen to finish the race. To participate, Chinese swimmers needed permission from Taiwan's sports administration to enter the waters around Kinmen. But just days before the event was supposed to happen on July 26, they still hadn't received those permits.
因为它是从海上入境的，所以很重要的就是入境的这一个许可，必须由中央来发给。因为到目前为止，我们都没有收到这一个入境的许可。
Whether or not the event would take place this year had already been in doubt for some time, after Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, which governs relations with China, said earlier this month that it did not support it, calling it part of China's efforts to influence Taiwan.
我不会称它是单纯的运动，去那边就是要接受统战洗礼，从厦门游过来，等于是要游过我方的，进入到我方的禁限制水域。对这个事情呢，我们会比较谨慎的处理。
The council also suggested the event could threaten Taiwan's maritime security, as it would involve Chinese boats and swimmers entering Taiwan's waters. This is particularly sensitive considering the repeated incursions of Chinese Coast Guard ships into Kinmen's restricted waters since 2024. It's not clear whether the permit issues were influenced by these concerns. TaiwanPlus reached out to the Sports Administration, but it said it could not provide any details. Meanwhile, China's Taiwan Affairs Office has criticized obstruction of the event, saying it goes against the wishes of the people on both sides of the strait for exchanges and closer ties.
It's not clear if this means the event will be canceled in future years, but it is clear that rising tensions between Taiwan and China are making any sort of cross-strait event contentious. Howard Zhang and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
The 2025 World University Games have kicked off in Germany. Taiwan has sent nearly 200 athletes to compete under the name Chinese Taipei. The team hopes the event will build momentum ahead of the 2026 Asian Games in Nagoya, Japan, and the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. They'll compete in 15 sports, notably volleyball, judo, fencing, and taekwondo. And thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we take you to Prague for highlights from performances at Taiwan Culture Day. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.